And hello fellow Taker, Space Bandit here with another episode of World of Tanks. And today I bring you tier 10 French medium tank AMX 30B. Just a little bit about this tank. Well, we all know that this tank was just recently buffed with the new update of World of Tanks Valor. And you've seen my video earlier this week about this tank and I called it a legend. Well, for me, to be honest, it is a legend because I never really got to play this tank when it was good. And that was the point of my video. I was basically hoping that one day Wargaming would bring it back to the level of relevancy that it was before, so that I'll be able to play it and, you know, make my own opinion on this tank. So I was able to get to AMX 30 just before it got nerfed. Actually, before both of them got nerfed, AMX 30 and AMX 30B. And I was basically able to play maybe a couple games with AMX 30 before it got nerfed. So I really never got the full feel of what these tanks were like before the nerf. Now, someone in the comment section under my AMX 30 video commented that AMX 30 wasn't buffed, it was just AMX 30B. But no, that's not correct. Actually, because they buffed the gun on AMX 30B, and the same top gun is on AMX 30. Tier 9 AMX 30 also got buffed at the same time because of that buff. Yes, so for those of you that are not aware, both of these tanks really, the guns on both of these tanks got buffed just recently. So now that we have both AMX 30 and AMX 30B relevant in the game again, I decided to go directly for those tanks and try to, you know, get an idea of what they're like. And to be honest, I like both of them, and I explained it in my AMX 30 video that I do like that tank as well. I guess the biggest difference for me between AMX 30 and AMX 30B is the view range, which is not as good on AMX 30, and mobility, which is not as good on AMX 30B. Although, don't get me wrong, AMX 30B is still a fantastic tank. It gets up to 60 kilometers an hour, it goes really fast, and you can relocate really quickly. But I think in this aspect, AMX 30 does it a little bit better, just a slight tad bit better. What I do like about the tier 10 is this incredible rate of fire. It's absolutely amazing. And gun accuracy seems to work for the most part. And with increased penetration and that shell velocity, it really makes that gun sing. And I mean, it really does. And you've seen it in my earlier video. And the same in this video. This tank is probably supposed to be playing more at a distance, and I do enjoy it playing it more at a distance. Although that turret could be trolly, you know, and I know that the cupola is huge. Actually, on a 30B is much bigger than a 30, but that turret can bounce occasionally, especially if you go hold down with this tank. So even though this tank is not really considered a brawler, and it shouldn't be considered a brawler, it can do fairly well in situations like this, especially versus players that have trouble penetrating you, don't know where to penetrate you, or don't have the reaction time that you have, for instance, right? So my first impressions about both tanks, they're freaking amazing, absolutely amazing. And I think I'm gonna enjoy playing them a lot more as we go along. And at some point I really do want to ace the AMX 30B. That would be my next step, is trying to ace that tank. I know it's not going to be easy because a lot of good players are back in the game and are playing this tank. But maybe eventually I'll get lucky in one of the games and I will ace it so I can bring it for you guys. Now, one thing I noticed that Wargaming has done, they have made the XP earned on AMX 30B a little bit lower than any other tank. Now, I don't understand how this could have been done, but what I'm seeing is, you know, you can hit 4 or 5k damage with AMX 30B, and yet you end up in the middle of your team list at the end of the game, just because you weren't participating up close and personal with this tank. Now, that's the way this tank shouldn't be played, like I mentioned earlier. I mean, some players will probably play it like that. If you're good enough and you think your reaction times are really good, go ahead and play it up close. I prefer to play it at a distance because basically it has no armor, it's paper. But because you're playing at a distance now, the way the tank should be played, you're kind of getting penalized by the fact that you end up in the middle of the team list at the end of the game, which is a bit strange to me. But I guess you know what? I think a lot of good players are going to play this tank. And I think that was probably done to kind of offset the XP that would be earned by good players and clubbing with this tank at top tier. So maybe in a way it's a good thing, but it just looks weird, right? You look at the end table and you've done over 5k damage and you see yourself in the middle, which is really strange. I mean, I've seen that on tank destroyers. I've never seen it on medium tanks, but so be it. It doesn't really annoy me. It's just an observation. Overall, fantastic tanks. Maybe more tailored towards more experienced players, because if you know the map and you know positions to get yourself into, that's probably what this tank thrives on. If you're a newer player, you might have a bit of difficulty grasping this tank, especially because if you don't know positions and you don't have any armor to bounce shells, you're gonna struggle. So I wouldn't really recommend it to the newer players. But once you get a little bit of experience in the game, you learn the maps, you understand what certain tanks can do, what certain tanks cannot do, then yeah, you're going to enjoy this tank. You're definitely going to enjoy this tank, because so far I have. Anyway, I decided to show you the replay in the background, which was a little bit interesting. Again, it showcases the gun of the AMX 30B, but we're also going to talk about some of the decision making that I have done in this game, which some of you might not agree with, but I make certain decisions based on certain predictions that I have just looking at the team distribution. And basically my play, even though again I'm camping, and again both of these tanks are very campy for me. I try to find a good position where I can get myself into right sniping spots that I can support my team pretty well. That's what I'm trying to do with these tanks. But going back to the beginning, is I sort of predicted the situation after I saw distribution of my team and see which directions they went. And because of that, I decided to sit in this position where I am now. And I'm basically going to sit in the same position for the entire game. But what makes this game interesting is that it gets really, really close right at the end. And we somehow managed to pull it off, although not without a little bit of salt on my side, to be honest, because what happened at the end of this game rubbed me the wrong way. Let's just put it that way, okay? Rubbed me extremely the wrong way. And I don't want to point fingers because, you know, at the end of the day, we did win the game, but there are some things I really want to point out. And some of the good lessons learned, not only for me, but for you guys as well. So early in the game, I didn't go with my team at all. Usually I like going into position D6, for instance, or position B8, and, you know, brawl it out early. Support my heavy tanks, support my medium tanks. But we had only 4 tanks that went in that direction. And since we only had 4 tanks that went there, I knew that we were going to lose. So there was no point for me to leaving this area here in order to just kind of throw my tank away. I decided to sit here in the back and support my teammates, because I knew that at one point the opposition is going to spill over into the field, and in that case we will have shots across the field and we can drain them down in health as much as we can. And also the reasoning behind this was because our M48 Patton looks like a very campy fella. He set himself up early at position, what is it, E2 or D2, somewhere around there, and he was just sitting there sniping and spotting. So I'm like, you know what, majority of my team went 1 line, 2 line, cool. 4 tanks were in the middle, cool. And there were only 2 medium tanks in a base location here that can actually snipe these guys that are coming from the center of the map. So that's exactly what happened here, and that's why, you know, there isn't much action in the game, but it requires smart. So at this point in time, there was one point in time when I asked my M48 if he wants to go, and he didn't want to go, so I decided to stick around here and defend the base with him. And that's exactly what we did. I was just paying attention which side he's protecting, and I wanted to make sure I protect the opposite side, right? Now we're in a little bit of a pickle because the opposition team has different access points into this position here, which is going to become evident quite soon. Anyway, so opposition's AMX 30B got spotted, and at that point I was thinking, I'm full health. Our Patton is relatively decent health, so we need to push him. I was thinking, you know, the first one we see, we should probably push. So I kind of bumped him there because I didn't know whether he was going to go forward. Now he's going forward, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to show him that I'm pushing this guy. He's very hesitant, so I'm gonna push this guy. And I was gonna go all the way around, but at the same time the opposition is gonna make a really smart play. So as you can see, I'm gonna go hold down here. I'm gonna hit him right there. But at the same time I realized that I have a tank behind me. I also have a tank on my right side, and it's an autoloader. So last thing I want to do is engage the autoloader. I want to take out the tank that has the lowest amount of health. And the guy's hitting me from behind. He has the lowest amount of health. I didn't know that yet, but I'm going to turn around here. I see it. So I'm going to try to chase him. But at the same time, my main priority is taking him out. But our M48 Patton decided to leave me alone. And I don't know what the hell he's doing. He decided to go all the way down to the bottom of the hill. I don't understand that play whatsoever. I don't get it whatsoever. So I was a little bit pissed off here because I used all of my HP to try to push this guy that we managed to kill. I was thinking that my M48 Patton is going to turn around and is going to help me deal with those two tanks that are on top. But instead of doing that, he just ran off. Not only that, Artie ran off as well. You know, in this situation, guys, if you're an Artie, you're really inconsequential. You can't do much in this situation. Unless you shotgun someone, there's nothing you can do. So at least take a hit, because if you can take a hit for your teammate, then it might help you win the game. Because instead of me taking a hit, me taking 2 hits from AMX 5120, I could have taken 1 hit and survived. Now here, I'm really pissed off at this guy because AMX 5120 is on a reload, right? He's on reload right now, and this guy is not pushing him. Like, he just clipped me out. He's on reload. And I know at this point maybe the guy didn't know exactly that he was on reload. And at the end of the day, he's still gonna go and push him and is gonna take care of the situation. I just thought this could have been done so much more efficiently and quicker without me actually dying in the process, because I took all the hits so that this guy could carry, to be honest. I did not expect this finish, but it is what it is. We win the game. Game over. That's it. But it could have been so much better game for me if it didn't turn out the way it did. The opposition played it really well. They flanked us from 3 sides, and I don't know how the Centurion sneaked by from the left side without being detected. I don't know how that happened because I was holding that side of the map for the longest period of time. Anyway, M48 finished in first spot because he did a bunch of spotting damage plus regular damage, and we just finished in the middle. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. That's it for today. Until next time, happy tanking, Space Bandit, checking out.